All right, we'll continue the remaining parts of the topic, uh, methodologies and principles of teaching. We've done with the different techniques in individual learning. Now let's proceed on our discussion with Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence. So the idea multiple intelligence, no, suggests or emphasize that students could be intellectual in different aspects, no? There is no single intelligence that a student could possess. And that is why let us banish the perception that those students who are performing well in their academics, they are the only students that we could label as intelligent students. So there are different types of intelligence. And let us discuss those one by one. First, we have the linguistic intelligence. When we say linguistic intelligence, no, student or someone has the ability to use words effectively, both in speaking and in writing. Ito yung mga estudyante na hawod, no? Magaling sila pag pinag-uusapan yung words or yung communications. Magaling silang sumulat ng mga storya, magaling silang gumawa ng mga tula. They are also good in speaking with in terms sa ilang communication skill. We have students, di ba, na magaling uh, pag mayroong mga contest, for example, extemporaneous contest, no? Poetry contest. These are students that we could label as intelligent in terms of linguistic, no? Both, again, pag linguistic, magaling sa language, both written and verbal, no? Both written and spoken, linguistic intelligence. Now, we also have logical, mathematical intelligence. Ito yung mga bata, no, na matatalino pagdating sa mathematics at pagdating sa reasoning. Ito yung mga bata na magaling sa science and mathematics. Logical, mathematical. It's very easy to identify no the difference pag linguistic, magaling sa language, magaling sa words, both spoken and written. Logical, mathematical, magaling sa math, magaling pag gumamit ng kanilang logical thinking, magaling sa science, logical, mathematical. We also have musical intelligence. So, ito yung mga bata o yung mga bata na nagpupossess ng musical intelligence. They are very sensitive to rhythm, tone, and sound. So, sila yung mga estudyante na mahilig mag-play ng musical instrument, mahilig kumanta, mahilig gumawa ng kanta. These are students, no, na mga musically inclined. Sila yung mga student natin na pwede nating ma-considered as musically intelligent students. Again, pag musical intelligence, yung mga students natin ito na mahilig sa music, no? Not just mahilig sa music, magaling sa music. We also have bodily kinesthetic intelligence, no? These emphasize the ability to use the body skillfully to express ideas or solve problems. Ito yung mga bata natin na mahilig sa sports, no? Mahilig sa, pwede din sa pagsayaw. These are bodily kinesthetic, no, learners. Gusto nila gamitin yung kanilang katawan sa kanilang pag-express ng ideas. Bodily kinesthetics. Yung magaling din sa sports, ha, bodily kinesthetic din yung kanilang intelligence. Next, we have spatial or visual intelligence. Pag spatial or visual intelligence, ito yung mga bata na mahilig sa arts, no? They have the ability to think in image and visualize objects or space. Pag spatial or visual intelligence, no? Ibig sabihin, mga estudyante na mahilig sa arts. Six, interpersonal intelligence. So, when we say interpersonal, mahilig silang or magaling silang makipaghalubilo. They have the ability to understand, interact well to others, to empathize to others, interpersonal. Ibig sabihin ha, magaling yung mga bata makipag-socialize. Kaya gani, yung mga students na mayroong interpersonal intelligence, mga friendly sila. We also have intrapersonal intelligence. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga bata, no, na alam, na naiintindihan yung kanilang mga sarili. alam how to handle their emotions, no? They also know their strengths, their weaknesses, that is intrapersonal intelligence. Pag naturalistic, from the term natural, no? They have the ability to recognize or classify plants, animals. To put it simply, pag naturalistic, no, love nila ang environment. Again, pag naturalistic, love nila ang environment. Balikan natin. Pag linguistic, magaling sa language, no? Both written and spoken language. Logical, mathematical, magaling sa science, magaling sa mathematics, magaling sa number, magaling sa problem solving, magaling sa critical thinking. Musical, mahilig at magaling sa music, no? Yung mga magaganda yung boses, magaling kumanta, mahilig magsulat ng kanta, yung mga students na magaling sa instrument, musical intelligence yung kanilang pinopossess. We also have bodily kinesthetic, yung mga students natin na magaling sumayaw, yung mga students natin, no, na gusto nila palaging mayroong activity, physical activity, may role playing, yung mga student natin na mahilig or magaling sa sports, bodily kinesthetic yung kanilang intelligence na pinopossess. Also have spatial visual, ito yung magaling sa arts. Again, magaling sa arts. Interpersonal, magaling makipaghalubilo. Yung kanilang social skills, no, ay napakataas. Intrapersonal, kilala yung kanilang sarili. No? They have the ability to know, to understand themselves, no? Their weaknesses, their strengths, no? Their emotions, magaling sila mag-handle ng kanilang emotions. Naturalistic, they love the environment. Gusto nila nasa labas palagi, no? Gusto nila it's either nasa bukid, nasa beach, naturalistic intelligence. And at the same time, yung mga student na mayroong naturalistic intelligence, sila yung mga student na inclined with environmental conservation, yung gumagawa ng paraan para maprotektahan yung ating environment. Now, proceed tayo sa methodologies or techniques for small groups, di ba? We've done with the techniques para sa independent learning. Ngayon naman for small groups. First, we have the think, pair, share approach. Ano itong think, pair, share approach? Una, yung student, bibigyan mo ng topic or question, they would think individually. And then, after they think individually, i-pair mo sila, i-partner mo yung student, then they would share with their peers or with their partners. After that, pagkatapos nilang mag-share ng kanilang ideas within the pair, no, within their partner, i-share nila yung ideas nila with the class. That is think, pair, share. Think individually, then share your ideas with your partner or discuss with your partner, then share the ideas with the whole class. We also have buzz groups or buzz session. Pag buzz session gani, it's quite the typical group discussion. However, quick lang siya. Again, quick. Pag buzz gani, that is quick, ha? Buzz, quick. Then role playing is also one cooperative learning approach no na usual ginagamit ng mga teachers natin. Kasi role playing, they will act out real life situations to understand behavior. That is role playing. Number 4, peer tutoring. Isa din itong technique no sa cooperative learning. So, one student would act as a tutor. Ibig sabihin siya yung more knowledgeable. Then, yung isa namang student, siya yung tuti, no? Siya yung tuturuan. Siya yung medyo struggling with the lesson. Siya yung tuturuan. Peer tutoring. And take also the advantage, no? If mayroong advanced na student, no? Gawin niyo siyang tutor ng kanyang mga classmates, no? Take that advantage if mayroong mga students na advance. Kasi they would also love doing that nga. I-help yung kanilang mga students na medyo struggling. Fifth, inquiry approach. Inquiry approach could be an approach or a strategy or a technique na pwede gamitin ha for individual and at the same time for cooperative learning. For individual, so you provide a student with a problem, then mag-investigate siya alone, no? Mag-provide siya ng solutions alone. Pag sa cooperative learning approach naman, you group the students, then you ask questions or give them a problem, then they would gather evidence as a group, then they would draw conclusions within the group. Inquiry approach could be used sa individual and at the same time cooperative learning. We also have the integrative approach, meaning students will be able to connect prior knowledge sa kanilang new experiences. Integrative from the term integrate. They will integrate, they will connect their prior knowledge with the new learning or the new experiences. And we have three integrative approach, ha? We have three types of integrative approach. First, we have intradisciplinary approach. At itong intradisciplinary, itong interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary, mga integrative approach, ito sila ha. Again, intra, inter, and transdisciplinary, mga types of integrative approach sila. First, intra means intra, within. Again, pag intradisciplinary, within. Ibig sabihin, no, you integrate topics or subjects or disciplines within a subject area. Again, you connect, you integrate topics within a subject area. For example, you study supply and demand within economics only. That is intradisciplinary. You connect your topic sa Philippine history with economics. Economics and Philippine history, isa lang yan sila sa araling panlipunan. That is intradisciplinary. Again, intradisciplinary, you connect, you integrate the same discipline or different discipline under the same subject area. Intradisciplinary. Again, intradisciplinary. For example, you connect physics and biology. Under yan sila ng science, that is intradisciplinary. You connect, again, physics, biology, same under ng science yan sila, yung dalawang disiplina yan, intradisciplinary yan sila. Ano pa ba? You discuss about addition and subtraction. Sa math yan sila. You connect geography, geometry with trigonometry. Both disciplines are under mathematics, so intradisciplinary yan siya. On the other hand, pag sinasabi nating interdisciplinary, you combine two different subjects, two or more different subjects. For example, no, i-combine mo yung topic sa math and science. That is interdisciplinary. Gi-combine mo yung topic mo sa social studies sa values education. That is interdisciplinary. Kuha? Pag intradisciplinary, different discipline pero under one subject. I-connect mo yung dalawang discipline na magkaiba pero under sila ng isang specific subject, intradisciplinary yan sila. Pag interdisciplinary, i-connect mo yung dalawang magkaibang subject. Pag transdisciplinary, meaning it goes beyond boundaries. Ibig sabihin, yung natutunan or yung topic or yung subject, gi-connect mo sa reality. Again, pag transdisciplinary, yung topic, gi-connect mo sa reality. For example, solving a community waste problem using science, social studies, and values education. Transdisciplinary. Ibig sabihin, gi-apply mo sa real life yung topic. That is transdisciplinary. So proceed tayo sa different discussion techniques. Alam naman natin, di ba, yung discussion. So, na-discuss na itong, ano yung discussion? Discussion is a way of delivering the lesson wherein students will be given the opportunity, no, to share their thoughts, their ideas. Discussion techniques. First, we have the whole class discussion. Kasi gani, ibalik ko muna to para ma-emphasize ha, para hindi malimutan. Iba yung lecture and discussion. Pag lecture, si teacher halos, no? Teacher-centered sa lecture ha. Iba sa lecture, iba sa discussion. Iwala na sa ating isipan na same si discussion and si lecture. Iba yan sila ha. Pag lecture gani, si teacher yan siya. Pag discussion, mayroong participation ng students. Pwede suggest si students or mag-raise ng kanyang ideas, no? Pwede din siya mag-ask ng question sa kanyang classmates. That is discussion. Now, we have different discussion techniques. First, whole class discussion. Ibig sabihin, magiging facilitator si teacher, no, ng exchange of ideas among all students. Again, pag whole class discussion, mag-facilitate si teacher. Hindi ibig sabihin nga nag-facilitate si teacher siya yung mag-explain ng topics, siya lang yung mag-facilitate. Whole class discussion. Small group discussion, ano yung gagawin ni teacher? I-grupo yung mga students in small groups, then they would share their ideas, no? They would participate, they will collaborate. Small group discussion. Anong pagkakaiba ni small group discussion sa panel discussion and sa buzz group? Pag small group discussion, that's the regular thing na ginagawa natin, no? Sa ating mga estudyante. We allow them, no, to be in groups, then mag-share sila lang kanilang mga ideas. Sila lahat. Pag panel discussion gani, again, pag panel discussion, mayroong students or selected few students na mag-act as expert. Ibig sabihin, sila yung mag-discuss. Selected few lang yung makadiscuss. Pag small group discussion, lahat ng students within their groups mabibigyan ng opportunity to share their ideas. Pag panel discussion, selected few students lang ang makashare ng kanilang ideas. Parang sila yung expert, sila yung magaling about that topic. Panel discussion. And make sure, no, to identify kung ano yung nararapat na discussion technique na gagamitin. Hindi agad-agad, no? Pag panel discussion, pwede ito. For example, your topic is about, ano ba? Your topic is about PEMDAS sa mathematics. Tapos, mayroon kang 5 student na napakagaling sa PEMDAS. O pwede kang gumamit ng panel discussion. So, yung 5 student, yung magiging expert. Pag wala kang student na sobrang galing sa topic na yun, o hindi pwede ang panel discussion. Kasi sila man yung magiging mag-act as expert. No? Sila yung tatanungin ng kanilang mga classmates. Now, ano yung buzz group naman? Kanina, di ba, na-discuss na natin itong buzz group. Ibig sabihin, quick. Pag makakita gani ng quick discussion, buzz group yan siya or buzz session. Again, pag quick discussion, short, quick discussion within a small group, buzz group yan siya or buzz session. Ano pa ba yung iba't ibang discussion technique? Discussion technique, brainstorming. When we say brainstorming, no, every idea is welcome. Ibig sabihin, hindi dapat mag-discriminate ng idea ng ibang student. That is brainstorming. Pag brainstorming, ang i-remember lang, all ideas are welcome. That is brainstorming. We also have round robin discussion. Ang round robin discussion, applicable lang ito if konti lang yung student mo. Why? Because during the round robin discussion, all of the students, no, would take turns na mag-share ng kanilang idea. Applicable ito if you only have 20, 25 students, marami na gani yan siya, no? That's round robin discussion. Imagine if you have 50 students, no? Hindi ito applicable ang round robin discussion for a large group of class, ha? For small group of class lang ito. Fishbowl discussion. When we say fishbowl discussion, mayroong small group, then mayroong big group. So yung small group, nasa loob sila ng mag-make sila ng circle. Sila yung inner circle. Tapos yung outer circle naman sila yung audience. That is fishbowl discussion. May inner circle. Yung mga nasa inner circle na mga students, sila yung mag-discuss, sila yung mag-share ng ideas. Yung outer circle, sila yung makinig ng audience. Then, mag-switch sila, mag-swap sila. Yung outer circle naman, yung magiging inner circle, sila yung mag-discuss. Then, the outer circle will become the audience. That is fishbowl discussion. think pair and share, na-discuss na ito. They would think, no? Individually, discuss with the partner, they share the class. Debate is also one of the discussion technique na very effective, no? It would nurture, it would refine students' critical thinking and logical reasoning, no? Students argue opposing viewpoints to develop reasoning and communication skills. But not all subject matter or all lessons are applicable ang debate. Selected lang. Make sure also na if you use this discussion technique, debatable yung topic na ginadiscuss mo. Yung discussion mo is about photosynthesis, tapos nagpa-debate ka, hindi yan siya applicable. Okay lang if your topic is about same-sex marriage, ganyan. That's debatable, no? Divorce, that's debatable. Make sure also to consider the nature of your subject matter. Another is Socratic discussion. Pag Socratic discussion, no, more on questioning ang ginagamit ni teacher. Ga-ask si teacher ng question, then ga-answer si students. Yung Socratic technique, no? Socratic discussion. Now, let's proceed sa different learning resources. Again, learning resources. We have different types of learning resources, no? Ito yung maaring gamitin ni teacher as gamitin niya during discussion or during the preparation of the lesson plan and other materials, no? Mga learning resources. First, we have the print resources. Pag print resources, we have the books, we have the dictionaries, no? Yung mga printed, the traditional written materials. We have journals, we have worksheets, we have textbooks. Again, pag print materials, yung printed talaga, the traditional written material. We also have audio resources, yung mga materials that use sound for learning, no? Audio resources. Ano tong mga audio resources? We have podcast. Podcast is also an audio resources, ha? Kasi the podcast before, di ba, ang uso na podcast ngayon yung video sa YouTube, sa Facebook. Yung podcast talaga back then, no, yung uso is audio. Yung podcast before, again, audio. Same with vlogging, letter V na vlogging. Vlogging yan siya, yung uso before, letter B, yung online journal. Before na uso yung vlogging. Matagal na yung vlogging. Again, audio resources, no? Radio programs, podcasts, audio recordings, audio resources, yan siya. Visual resources, ibig sabihin yung mga materials na ginagamit natin, no? Na mayroong images. For example, yung charts, no? Posters, diagrams, maps, mga visual resources yan siya. Charts, posters, diagrams, mga visual resources yan siya. We also have audio visual resources. Pag audio visual resources, ibig sabihin, no, medyo gumagamit ito ng multimedia. Combined sound and visual. For example, mga videos, mga films, multimedia presentations, no? These are audio visual resources. Mayroong audio, mayroon ding visuals. Ano pa yung ibang type of learning resources? We have digital and electronic resources. Pag digital electronic, ibig sabihin online or computer-based resources. We have ebooks, no? We have educational apps, we have websites, we have books, the massive open online courses, mga digital electronic resources sila. Mga resources found online or in the computer, mga digital or electronic resources. We have e-books, uso na yan ngayon, no? Mga educational app, mga website, mga MOOCs. Mayroon ba yung mga educational app na wherein, no? Nang doon na yung topic, yung discussion, tapos afterwards ng discussion, you'll be given 30 minutes to read the content. Then after 30 minutes or so, provide tayo ng quiz yung educational app, no? These are digital and electronic resources. Number 6, manipulative or concrete materials. When we say manipulative or concrete materials, mga physical objects, no, used for hands-on learning. We have our computer, mga learning resource center. We have our science laboratory room, mga blocks, mga models. We have our computer room, no? Cookery room, TLE room, home economics room. These are manipulative or concrete materials, mga physical objects for hands-on learning. We also have human resources. Again, human resources. Dapat wala natin na yung idea pag learning resources sa mga tangible things lang. Human could also be a resource, no, na gamitin ni teacher. So people who support learning, for example, teachers, experts, mentors, guest speakers, they are learning resources. Yung co-teacher mo, yung colleague mo, no, yung mentors mo, yung master teacher mo, yung coordinating teacher mo, that could be your source of information. Kaya, consider sila as learning resource, ang ating mga human resources. And lastly, we have community resources. Ano itong mga community resources? This includes the local environment or the community for learning. For example, museums, no? Museum is a learning resource because, no, we could gather information from it. Parks, businesses, local events, it could be, no, a mode or a medium where we could learn or where we could gather information. Kaya considered sila as learning resource ang ating community resources. Now, it's very important, it's very vital na marunong tayong pumili ng ating mga instructional materials. Again, it's very vital na marunong tayong pumili ng ating instructional materials. And we have criteria to be considered. Simply because, bakit kailangan ng criteria? Kasi yung instructional material na effective for math, hindi ibig sabihin effective yan siya for science. Hindi din ibig sabihin na if ang isang instructional material effective sa isang subject matter or isang topic for science, sa another topic for science subject, same pa rin, effective pa rin, no? Kaya, we should be very, not lenient, no? But be very scrupulous, no? Hindi naman sobrang scrupulous na maging perfectionist na parang let's be very, mapili, no, pagdating sa instructional materials. Make sure that it fits the following criteria. First, relevance, no? Materials should be or should match the learning objectives. Ito, isa sa mga technique ha, sa pagpili ng instructional materials, sa pagpili ng learning activities, sa pagpili ng assessment method, sa pagpili ng ano pa ba, instructional materials, learning activities, sa pagpili ng assessment method, ang pinaka i-remember dapat in connection with or align with the objective. Si learning objective talaga or si learning outcome or si learning goal ang basihan pinaka first sa pagpili ng teaching method, ng teaching strategy, ng instructional materials, ng learning activities, ng assessment method. Si objective talaga ang basihan first. Again, objective first ang basihan sa pagpili ng learning materials, ng instructional materials, ng learning activities, ng assessment, ng teaching method, ng teaching strategy, yung objective. Kasi yan yung target natin na ma-achieve yung objective. Kaya siya yung first na basis sa pagpili ng instructional material. Relevance, meaning dapat mag-match sa content objective. Number 2, accuracy. Ibig sabihin yung instructional material na gagamitin should be accurate, tama. Kasi when you teach a student, no, the very first time of a topic na bago lang sa kanya, kung ano yung first na naturo mo sa kanya, kung ano yung first na natutunan niya, it's very difficult to unlearn. Kaya make sure na tama yung instructional material na gagamitin mo. It should be factual and at the same time, it should be up to date. Again, it should be factual and it should be up to date. Meaning it should be current, no? Kasi may mga ideas naman na correct accuracy, it is one thing to consider sa pagpili ng instructional material. Importante din ang suitability. Suitability meaning i-consider mo yung learner's characteristics, learner's age, no? The learning style of students, mga needs ng student, ability ng students, prior knowledge ng student, suitability. Dapat suitable sa iyong learner. Number 4, clarity. It should become simple. It should be clear, no? Easy to understand. Again, clarity, consider. Yung instructional material na gagamitin mo, it should be clear, it should be simple para madaling maintindihan. It should be well organized. Number 5, cost and availability. Consider, no? Before mamili ng instructional material na gamitin, consider muna the context of the school where you are teaching. If mayroon bang available na material na gusto mong gamitin, consider if affordable ba ito, if available ba ito. Consider the affordability and the availability of the instructional material na gagamitin mo. Gusto mo mag-science experiment, tapos walang mga science apparatus, yung inyong mga science laboratory, walang experiment apparatus, no? It would be impossible. Number 6, flexibility. Ibig sabihin, no, make sure that your instructional materials as much as possible could be adapted to different teaching strategies. Flexible. 7, safety. Importante. Ang instructional materials mo, no, ay hindi makaharm sa iyong learners and sa iyo, no? Safety is one thing to consider. Lastly, engagement. Dapat yung instructional material na gagamitin mo would, no, encourage students to participate, would make the class interactive. Engagement is one thing to consider sa pagpili ng instructional material. Now, proceed tayo sa classroom management. And it is very important, no, to have skills paano mag-manage ng class. Kasi, if teacher won't have that skill, know how to manage the class, how the teacher could easily or could smoothly deliver the lesson if maraming misbehaving na mga student, no? Kailangan talaga natin i-avoid yung misbehavior ng mga students. Now, when we say classroom management, it pertains to the process of organizing and conducting business of the classroom relatively free of behavioral problems. Ibig sabihin, when we say classroom management, dapat continuous, smooth yung ating delivery of the lesson. No? Walang interruption. Again, walang interruption. Kaya gani, pag classroom management, ina-encourage na maging proactive. Again, pag classroom management, si teacher gina-encourage maging proactive. When we say proactive, dapat si teacher hindi pa nag-exist yung problem, no? Mayroon na siyang ginagawa para hindi mag-exist yung problem. Preventive measure yung kanyang ginagawa. Ano pala yung pinaka-the best na preventive measure para walang classroom na mga hindrance, no, sa pag-deliver ng lesson. Walang mga behavioral problems, walang mga misbehavior, no, na mag-exist during the delivery of lesson. First, yun, pinaka-importante na preventive measure, make your class interactive. Because the moment, no, the class is interactive, it will allow students to participate. They will become busy sa pag-participate. So wala sila time for misbehavior. That's one thing kailangan natin i-remember. Maging proactive, no? We should have preventive measure para maiwasan, no, yung mga behavioral problems. Kaya dapat interactive ang class. And these are the approaches to classroom management. First, assertive approach. Ano yung assertive approach? Ibig sabihin clear. Pag assertive approach, remember, dapat si teacher klaro. Clear. Ano yung clear? Ano yung dapat iklaro ni teacher? Iklaro dapat ni teacher yung rules. Yung patakaran, no? If ito yung gagawin mong kasalanan, ito yung iyong consequence. Assertive approach, remember si teacher, very clear sa kaniyang mga rules. Assertive approach. Clear siya sa kung ano yung bawal at kung ano yung mga consequences, no, na kaharapin ng mga estudyante. Kuha natin, assertive, the teacher is clear, no, sa kanyang pag-explain sa rules and consequences. Second approach to classroom management is behavioral modification approach. Ano itong behavioral modification approach, no? Isa itong approach na nag-i-aim na ma-increase yung occurrence of appropriate behavior through a system of rewards and reduces likelihood of inappropriate behavior through punishment. Ibig sabihin, pag behavior modification approach, it is the punishment and reward system. Again, behavioral modification approach, punishment and reward system. Reward para magsigi og exist, magsigi og occur ang positive behavior. Punishment para makunhuran, para mabawasan yung mga negative behavior ng mga students. Kaya sa behavior modification approach. Ano gani yung first? We have assertive approach. Ibig sabihin clear, klaro si teacher na intindihan ng mga bata kung ano yung consequence sa kanilang haharapin kung mag-misbehave sila. Pag behavioral modification approach, it is punishment and reward system. Pag business academic approach, ibig sabihin si teacher, no, magaling masyado sa pag-organize and sa pag-manage, no, ng uh, the usual routine sa pag-deliver ng lesson. Si teacher clear kung ilang minuto yung quiz. Si teacher clear with the instruction of the quiz. Si teacher clear sa pagbigay ng instruction sa homework, that is business academic approach. It emphasizes the organization and management of students as they engage in academic work. Kasi pag hindi gani magaling si teacher, ito sa business academic approach, yan yung marami ding mga interruptions. For example, nagpa-quiz si teacher, hindi clear yung instruction. May mga student na magtaas ng kamay. They will ask, "Sir, ano gani yung instruction?" Hindi na clear pagka. So it will become an interruption sa klase. Taod-taod, no? Na po nagtaas og kamot, nag-ask na po sa question, unsa na po ang instruction, that is wala siya nag-exemplify og business academic approach. Pag business academic approach, ibig sabihin clear si teacher sa kanyang communication, ha? Magaling siya sa secure, sa pag-ensure na smooth sailing lang yung delivery of lesson. Business academic approach. Number 4 is group managerial approach. Pag group managerial approach, ibig sabihin, hindi lang isa yung student na ano ni teacher, no? Sa group managerial approach, he includes almost everybody sa kanyang pag-make sure na organize yung kanyang klase. That is group managerial approach. We have different types of group managerial approach. First, we have ripple effect. Ano itong ripple effect? Ibig sabihin, once when a teacher corrects a misbehavior in one student, and this positively influence the behavior or nearby student. Diba, group managerial approach, ibig sabihin, hindi lang isang student yung focus ni teacher sa pag-manage ng behavior ng bata. For example, yung isang student nag-misbehave, pinagalitan ni teacher, or may ginawa si teacher para hindi na siya mag-misbehave, it affects other students, no? Hindi na din sila ga-misbehave. Kaya matakot man sila na pagalitan din ni teacher. That is ripple effect. Again, that is ripple effect. May isang student nag-misbehave, na face na yung consequence. Kasi si teacher, assertive din siya, no? Pero unding assertive approach si teacher. Very clear siya sa kanyang rules at sa consequences din. Dahil nag-misbehave yung bata, no? I-ano ni teacher yung consequence, gi-implement niya yung consequence. And because of that, yung ibang bata, nag-behave sila. Hindi sila nag-interrupt ng klase. nag-participate sila, no? Naging active sila sa klase, that is ripple effect. Yung ginawa ni teacher, hindi yung entire class yung pinagalitan niya. Hindi yung entire class yung binigyan ng consequence, yung isang student lang. However, yung result, no, yung good result ng yung ginawa ni teacher sa lahat ng students, hindi sila nag-misbehave. That is ripple effect. Now let's proceed to with itness. Ano itong with itness? Ibig sabihin, may kakayahan si teacher to see what is happening in the entire classroom. Again, with itness, no? Parang mayroon tayong 360 ba na vision. Alam natin kung ano yung nangyayari sa loob ng classroom. Kaya dapat si teacher, ano, mayroon talagang with itness, no? Dapat medyo vigilant si teacher ba? Alam niya kung ano yung nangyayari sa likuran, alam niya yung kung ano yung nangyayari sa middle, no, ng classroom, that is with itness. Next, we also have Pygmalion effect or Rosenthal effect. Ano itong Pygmalion effect or Rosenthal effect? Itong Pygmalion effect or Rosenthal effect, when a teacher provides a high expectation. For example, yung teacher, mayroong high expectation, mayroong positive result, students would perform better. For example, di ba yung teacher, mataas yung kaniyang expectation sa mga first section, yung mga nasa section A, because of that high expectation, students will be able to perform better. That is Rosenthal or Pygmalion effect. Because of the high expectation, the student will perform better. For example, you're in a class, tapos ikaw yung pinakamatalino sa classroom nyo. So the teacher would expect, no? The teacher would have or would put high expectations sa iyo. And because of that expectation, you would be able to perform better. That is Rosenthal or Pygmalion effect. We also have Hawthorne effect. Ano itong Hawthorne effect? When we say Hawthorne effect, pag alam ng student na ino-observe sa, mas nag-perform sa better. That is Hawthorne effect. Again, pag alam ng student na gina-observe sa, ginatingnan sa, that is the reason why nag-perform sa better. That is Hawthorne effect. We also have John Henry effect. Ano itong John Henry effect? It is the time wherein yung isang group naging experimental group. Yung isang group as is lang. For example, yung isang group, yung traditional lang na ginagawa ni teacher, nagamit lang siya ng Manila paper as instructional material. Tapos yung isang grupo, ginamitan ni teacher ng PowerPoint presentation with a very interactive na mga presentation. However, kahit mayroong ginawa na special si teacher sa isang grupo, the same pa rin yung result. That is John Henry effect. Again, isang section, the regular thing na ginagawa ni teacher. Yung kanilang instructional material, Manila paper lang. Yung other group, yung ginawa ni teacher, ginamitan niya ng PowerPoint presentation with very interactive videos, no? Pero, pagpa-quiz ni teacher, the same lang yung result. Same scores lang yung nakuha ng mga estudyante from the first group and the second group. That is John Henry effect. Number 6. I mean another group managerial approach. This is placebo effect. Itong placebo, fake treatment, placebo effect. For example, no, sometimes can improve patient's condition simply because the person has the expectation that it will be helpful. Placebo effect. If isipin ng estudyante na kaya niya, magagawa niya talaga. That is placebo effect. If isipin ng student, no, na siya yung magiging highest scorer sa kanyang exam or sa quiz, that is placebo effect. Fake treatment. Kahit hindi siya sure, no, i-claim na niya, that is placebo effect. Then lastly, we have the halo effect. Ano itong halo effect? It is a cognitive bias in which an observer's overall impression of a person, a company, or a brand or a product influence the observer's feelings and thoughts about the entity's character or properties. Ibig sabihin, itong halo effect, kahit papano, mayroon siyang negative connotation. 'Di ba si teacher, mayroon siyang parang favorite student na itong bata na ito, grabe talaga ito katalino. Yung bata nito, grabe talaga ito kabait. Tapos, yung bata, kahit hindi siya nag-perform well, kasi mayroon ng cognitive bias si teacher, no? Para kay teacher, nag-perform pa rin siya well. That is halo effect. Again, that is halo effect. Kasi yung bata, very performing well sa previously, matalino, mabait. So si teacher, meron na siyang idea sa bata na ganun siya. So meron na siyang cognitive bias. So kahit hindi masyadong nag-perform si student, no? Para sa kanya, nag-perform pa rin yun better. That is halo effect. Again, that is halo effect. And that's the end of our discussion sa methodologies and principles of teaching. So I hope no that you will take time to review your notes, your handouts, no, your fact book. Again, pag professional education, I would suggest no dito talaga sa teaching, methodologies and principles of teaching, then assessment of learning, and at the same time, the teaching profession. Study niyo yan siya, ha? Kasi diyan talaga medyo kumukuha ng marami si PRC ng mga questions. So I hope you've learned something. Bye-bye.